came across an image that just grabbed me. Like, you see something like maybe a piece of art just grabs you. And I knew that was the image, but I didn't know why. It was cool to the extent I know what cool is as a
You're
45-year-old.
cool.
No, as a 45-year-old patent attorney, I've never been cool. I don't think I'll ever be cool.
I don't know that I've moved enough to get one yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, Dinesh, did I ever tell you how I wound up getting a nose ring?
No, not at all. Tell me about your nose ring. But first I have to know, when you sneeze, does like a little bubble happen on the side where the hole is?
No, I totally was afraid that that would happen when I first got it, but that has yet to happen.
Okay, good.
Um, so I was 20 years old and was away from my house for the first time, because I stayed at home for college.
Yeah.
And I was on the student government, I was part of the Student Government Association, and we were at the Student Government Association conference in San Diego. And I don't know if it was just me being in SoCal or what, but I was like, you know what? I think I want to get a nose ring.
Mm.
And it was so, it's cultural. All of my aunts have nose rings. I think it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful part of our culture. And at the time, Manish and I had been dating for a couple of months, not too long. And so I call him and I'm like, I think I'm going to go while I'm here and get a nose ring.
Yeah.
And he goes, why would you want to put a hole in your face? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And I was just it really meant something to me, whether it was like a state of rebellion because I'm not at home away from my parents and, I'm doing this thing without asking their permission, and or also it was just so culturally significant and it was something that I really wanted for myself.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there. I wanted to get the nose ring and then I was like, oh, this wasn't too bad. Maybe I should get like a tattoo, or maybe I should get a belly button ring because those were like really big at the
Yeah.
time. And I never quite got around to doing anything else. But I don't know, like I've always been curious about people's body art and all the beautiful stories that they usually have
Yeah.
as to why they chose to get that particular thing in that particular place on their body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Are you gonna get a tattoo or a belly button ring?
Definitely not a belly button ring. That's done.
Yeah.
Not going to do that. But I don't know if I would ever get a tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, tattoos have come a long way, right? I think if you watch sports now, there's so many people that have them, and the stigma around what a tattoo meant, or what kind of life you led, is is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
I feel that kids are watching people with tattoos that are very successful,
Mm-hmm.
in the sporting world, in this world, and uh, there's a deep, rich history with tattoos from
Mm-hmm.
like Polynesia and Hawaii and Indonesia, things like that. And I think they have a lot of symbolism. I still think people are concerned about the permanence, but even that has not become a non-starter, because with laser, I think you can get a tattoo removed, albeit probably more painful than it is to get it, right?
Yeah, I would imagine it would be painful. But, you know, I think that that's why it's important to, if you decide to do it, really know what it is that you're looking to create as a result.
Yeah. Well, like anything else, there has to be a strong why, and not a push of where like you're feeling rebellious or something like that, but
Right.
almost a pull of a deep meaning for you.
Yeah. So I have to know, do you have any tattoos?
I do actually. I actually got one. Um, let's see, we're recording this probably about 8 weeks ago. Yeah, I got my first. Well, arguably it's one tattoo, but technically it's 10. I got 10 in a row at the same time.
How long did that take?
Start to finish, probably about 3.5 hours.
Okay. And did Anjana know you were going to do it?
Yeah, she did. She did know about it, and I actually had been thinking about getting one for a very, very long time, probably going back almost 12 years now.
Okay.
And I didn't know what I wanted, where I wanted it, until about 3 years ago. I came across an image that just grabbed me. Like, you see
Mhm.
something like maybe a piece of art or something, and it just grabs you. And I knew that was the image, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And so it took about 3.5 years to settle on why, where, and who was going to do it.
Mm, interesting. And so it sounds like you were really, the image grabbed you. Why did it grab you? What about it was so sticky?
That's a good question. Like a lot of things that were visual, right? I
Yeah.
think there are multiple levels. Like when you see someone that you find attractive, right?
Yeah.
There's an initial um, visual appeal of where you think it's appealing, you think it's attractive, and then once you look past the superficial of it, um, your mind goes to work at finding meaning within it.
Hmm.
And so initially, I think it was very superficial. I thought it was unique. I thought it was cool to the extent I know what cool is as a
You're
45-year-old.
cool.
No, as a 45-year-old patent attorney, I've never been cool. I don't think I'll ever be cool. But I thought it was cool. I thought like, hey, that's cool. That's pretty unique. And then my mind went to work on trying to find meaning in it
Of
and
course.
why. And the more my mind went to work, the stickier it got.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to know, what did you get?
So it's on my left forearm. I'm looking at it, and when this airs, I'll probably on Instagram. I'll put an image of it. But it's 10 matchsticks, and so that's why I said 10 tattoos.
Hmm.
And they go down my forearm, and they go from an unlit match, like a wooden
Hmm.
match, unlit, all the way to a completely burnt match that is sort of the ashes are just laying on a surface.
Hmm.
And each one going down is a progression of the flame as it burns through.
Mm. So my brain came up with what I would assign meaning to that for, but I'm curious to know what it means to you.
Well, tell me first, what do you think it means?
Well, to me, it brings out, like in yoga, there's a concept called tapas, right? Where
Mm,
you have to burn through the ego
yeah,
to get to really the root of your enlightenment.
yeah,
Um, and so I realized that when the match is burnt down, there's no more light. But for me, just the burning of something,
yeah,
um, that creates enlightenment, like that heat that's generated. But
yeah. It's funny. A lot of people have seen it, and uh, f first, like the reaction is the last match an ash, or is it something written in Arabic, right? Because of
oh,
the way it is. Um, and I didn't have the why for the tattoo until I came
mm,
across a quote from Viktor Frankl. You know who Viktor Frankl is, right?
I do.
The Austrian psychiatrist or psychologist.
He's a survivor, correct?
Yeah, he's a Holocaust survivor, but he was by profession a
A
psychiatrist.
psychiatrist.
Yeah, in Auschwitz in the camp. He used his mind to find purpose and to
Hmm.
wrote a great book. What is Man's Search for Meaning, right?
Hmm.
And he has a quote that says, "What is to give light must endure burning." And I
Mm.
think that's along the lines of what you were suggesting. So once I found the quote, like the image made sense to me, right? Because
Ah.
the matchstick burns in order to give light.
Hmm.
But as I continued, my thoughts about it continued to evolve, and I got closer to getting it. It really came down that one of my core beliefs is being that 10th match, right? Because
Mm.
if you think about it, a lot of times when you've recently lit a match, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Right. And so if you're using a match to light a cigarette or cigar or a birthday candle or even a
Hmm.
candle for your dinner, what do most people do, right? They strike the match,
Yeah.
they light the thing, and then they blow it out,
Hmm.
right? And if you look at the tattoo, the part where the match was useful
Hmm.
is burnt.
Hmm.
It lit one candle or lit one thing, and the
Hmm.
rest of the stick of the match is perfectly pristine, unused arbitrarily,
Right.
right? And so it made me start thinking of how many of us are prematurely extinguished and the rest of
Mm.
us is never used.
Yeah.
And what do we need to do to be that 10th match that is fully burnt? Because
Mm.
that flame is so useful, and
Mm.
we can light 1,000 candles with that single match without diminishing that flame.
Mhm.
And when you prematurely extinguish that flame and leave the rest of it unused, unburnt, and just discard it, right? Where does a burnt match go? In the
In the
trash.
trash.
In trash,
Yeah.
right? So that perfectly great piece of wood that can be used to light a bunch of candles and light other people, totally wasted.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, how many of us, metaphorically, are wasting portions of our life because we've arbitrarily extinguished the flame?
Oh, yeah. It's so funny because that unused portion of the match, it really kind of gets to me that it's wasted. And so when I light like a 3-wick candle, for example,
Yeah,
I'm very intentional about how I like the angle that I light the match at, and like the angle that I'm putting the match to the wick to, and all of that, just because I want to make sure I'm like maximizing,
right.
because I don't like, it's so irritating to me when you light a match and then you wind up having to light another one and another one just to get the job done.
Yeah,
Um, versus if you would just have like maybe changed the angle at which you went to go use the match, you would have been able to get it all done in one fell swoop, right? So
yeah,
I think to me, the reason that what you shared speaks is we're how many of us are living without the intention or without searching for the intention. We may not know what the purpose is or what our goal is right here, right now, but even just the desire to suss that out,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like, what is it
yeah,
that's going to really allow me to burn brightly and to give it my all?
right. Exactly, exactly. And, more, not recently, but in the last 5 or 10 years or so, to me, the purpose of life is to use yourself up and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, that's the intent, hopefully make someone else's life better or easier, or make, the future generation better or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the intent. I'm not sure if I'll ever get there, but it's to consume yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
furtherance of something for someone else or for somebody else, right? Like, you look at Elon Musk. Yeah, he's really rich, but he's using his life to get us off fossil fuels, right? Electrification, have the
Mm-hmm.
environment be cleaner, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Space exploration, or
Mm-hmm.
just make life easier or better in some way or another.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think, we all have that potential, just like every match that's out there,
Mm-hmm.
has that potential. And when we are educated and we have some sort of skills or something like that, the flame is lit.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're not using that flame to light other candles or light the way for other people, and we're
Mm-hmm.
prematurely extinguished, like, how much of is that is being wasted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So much goodness there. Just to give pause and think, what how did I spend my day, or how am I going to spend my
Yeah,
next day?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded way of trying to tell you what the tattoo means to me and why I got it. But I will tell you, there is a part, and I researched artists all over because the last match is pretty intricate and it is permanent. And in fact,
Mm.
when this guy, he's in Virginia, when this guy, if anybody wants his information, let me know. He's really talented. When he put the template on my skin, I was like, no, there's no way you're tattooing that, because it's just too messy. Like, it's got to be clean and the
Mm.
lines has to be crisp. So I made him redo it. Um, I spent a lot of time, probably 18 months, looking for an artist to do it because of the
Mm.
permanence, and I wanted to look really crisp. And I thought about,
Crisp.
yeah, crisp, every angle I thought about except one, Seema.
Which was?
That was the exponential increase in the chances of my kids getting tattoos,
Oh yeah.
right? Because as soon as I got home, my daughter said, "I want a tattoo." And then they
Oh,
went to a fair recently,
Sunday.
and Jane came home with a tattoo in the exact same spot.
Oh yeah.
Not just one, but two on the other arm too. And
Okay.
they both were like, "Dad, look, I'm like you." right?
Oh,
So I didn't
cuties.
count on the exponential increase in chances of them getting tattoos. But
Yeah.
we're totally okay with it, and in fact, we talked about it, and
Mhm.
we we're totally fine with them getting one at the appropriate age and
Yeah.
when they can appreciate the permanence and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Monsi just told me that she wanted, when she said, when I turn 15, I'm going to get ear piercings. And she kind of pointed at
Mm.
her ears are pierced, but she wanted to get stuff and like more ear piercings. And so we had this whole conversation about, like permanence and your own choice and all of these other things. And so it was a fun conversation to have. But I think tattoos, I would say, are still far more permanent than getting a piercing.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. And it's interesting. One thing I thought about with tattoos, and listeners, we'd love to hear if you have tattoos and what they mean. DM us a picture of your tattoo
mhm,
and the meaning if you'd like to share. But the thing with tattoos are, who are you getting it for,
absolutely. I
right?
mean, it has to be for yourself, right?
It has to, but if you can't see it, right? I mean, let's say you get a tattoo on the back of your calf,
Yeah.
or on your lower back, for example, right?
Hmm.
And you can't see it unless you have to turn around or make an effort or
Look
something
in the
like that.
mirror. Yeah.
That was a factor for me on placement, right?
Hmm.
And I actually thought about the back of the calf. I've thought about, tricep area, right?
Hmm.
Um, and or the side of like the ribs right here, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be, I would imagine, painful because it's on the bone.
Yeah. And I ultimately decided to go with something that I can see every day. and
Agreed.
and that made a lot more sense for me. Not to say there's one placement better or not. It made a lot of sense for me because of the gravity and the meaning behind
Right.
um, why I was getting a tattoo and how long I had put into it.
Yeah. I think what's coming to mind for me is it, again, going back to intention of what is the purpose of the thing that you're doing?
Hmm.
Because for you, that message is, it's something that you, sounds like you want to remind yourself of,
Yeah,
right? You aspire to burn completely and wholly, um, in, offering this light to the world. And so for you, it's motivational and you have to see it, right?
right.
Otherwise it's not. Um, but I think, yeah, for me in my 20s, I was like, maybe I'll get an ohm, but I'll get it. They, I don't know. I wanted it maybe on my back, or I wanted it, I don't know. But I was thinking about this recently, actually, because I knew you were thinking about getting a
Hmm.
tattoo.
Yeah,
And I was thinking, I have several friends who have them also on their forearms. And I was like, I think I would also want something either symbolic in terms of a picture, or just a phrase or a word or something.
yeah.
Um, I have one of my friends, Sheetal, she just has "be kind"
Oh, that's really
on,
good.
and I really love that. She's just such a sweet person. So, um, something meaningful in a place where I could see it, to serve the reminder of, okay, I see it. It's every day that I see it, and it means something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And that you nailed it. Like I got it as a reminder to me.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's why I decided to do it. I wonder if I can share my screen to show it. Maybe the folks on YouTube um, can check it out. That's who the artist was, Tattoo Fu, Mr. Loto. Shout out to him.
Okay.
And then you can see the 10 matches as they progress down. And
Yeah.
I really think being the 10th match it prevents the wastage of all of this unburnt, perfectly great match
Yeah.
stock.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see why they thought the last one was maybe something written in Arabic, though. I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, well, that was the
Um,
hard part, right? Like drawing
yeah.
a match is the easy part. That was the hard part. That took the
Yeah.
most, and even all of the burnt like ash pieces, I was pretty
Yeah.
insistent on.
Getting it right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do it once, do it right.
exactly. So does
Well,
that inspire you to get one?
I don't know that I moved enough to get one yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think if I had something deep within my soul that I just really had to get out there, I probably would. But,
Well, maybe at the very least, does my pain inspire you to be the 10th
of
match?
course.
Listeners, let us know if it inspires you to beat a 10th match too.